Hello, my name is Rob Garner. I'm a computer programming instructor, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to use Visual Studio with GitHub. So for this, you'll need Visual Studio installed, and then you'll also need to get a GitHub account. To get a GitHub account, go to github.com and sign up for an account. They'll ask you for a username, an email, and a password. If you're doing this for a school, you probably should use your school email address to make an account for that GitHub. In my case, I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in. And once I'm signed in, I'll just leave that like that. And I'm going to create a new project in Visual Studio. There's several ways you can use GitHub with Visual Studio. I'm going to try to show a simple way. I'm going to just make a regular C++ console application. And I'll call it GitHub demo. And by default, Visual Studio will typically put it into source repos. This is not a bad place for you to leave it. You can pick any folder you want. I don't recommend necessarily putting these on USB drives, although you can. Since you're going to be checking the source control, normally the way you work with this is you plan on being connected to the web and downloading things from the web. So I'm going to create this project. And here we have our project, and I'm going to then add solution to source control. Before you do this, make sure that you're not logged into Visual Studio Online or any other type of source control. It should kind of look like this when you go to Team Explorer. If you are logged in there, you want to log out of that. If you've never used source control before, you'll probably see it look like this. But once you're here and you've created your project, you can add your solution to source control. And you'll see these locks show up. What this means is that this has been made into a Git repo. And to just demonstrate what's happening a little bit behind the scenes, I'm going to open this folder in File Explorer just to show you where it's located. And you can see here that you have, if you go to View, View Hidden Items, and make sure your file extensions are shown, you'll see that there's a Git folder that's created, and a git ignore and git attributes file that are added to your project. That's an indication that you have in fact made a Git repository. Then the next step is, once we have this, we're going to go to our Team Explorer, and we have the option here to sync. And if you don't see this, just click on this down arrow here and you should see Home, and then click on Sync. And this will bring you to this push menu, or the sync menu, and which you could have gone to directly. And you have several options. You can send it to Azure DevOps, which is Microsoft's server, or publish it to GitHub. And GitHub is free, so we made an account, so we're going to publish to GitHub. When you go to publish to GitHub, it's going to give you some options. If you're logged in already, it should identify your account. If not, you may need to change accounts to log in to GitHub itself, in which case you can go in here, put your username, and log in. But once you're logged in, we can publish to GitHub, and this will make a repo on the GitHub repository. Right now, our project is only located on our own drive. This step is actually going to put it on GitHub over here. So to do that, one thing we're going to do is we're going to make it a private repo. If you don't, then everyone in the world can see it. We typically, with programming assignments from a school, you're going to want to make that private. And then you're going to click Publish. And it should tell you that the repo has been made successfully. So let's see what that looks like on GitHub. So I'm going to go to my account, and we can see that the GitHub demo now shows up under my repositories. If I don't see it there, you can click more, and you'll see you might see it show up here. I have a number on this one, so there's a lot of repos here. So I'm going to click on that, and it'll take me to where this repo is. And what you'll notice is that this actually replicates what's on my hard drive. So you can see there's git attributes, git ignore, and GitHub demo.sln. So most of the stuff is here. It didn't include the .vs because this git ignore is going to basically only make sure that things related to that we really need to put on the server are here. And if I click on GitHub demo, we can see there's my CPP and my project files. So basically everything has been copied up here. And if I look at github.cpp on the server, I will see that this is actually a copy of my code that's on my project is here. So now that we have this on the server, I can go in here and make some changes. So I'm going to set this up the way I normally do for a C++ program. I usually use I add the standard namespace. I return 0 typically. And so I've made these changes. And what you want to do is every time you make kind of a group of changes, right-click on your project and do a commit. And describe what you just did. So in this case, I updated main. And normally, you know, it's a really good idea to do a few steps and then do a commit. Do a few steps and do a commit. And make those steps be logical, you know, blocks of things that you're doing to make your program. So writing a function, write a function, then do a commit. Debug some problem, and then do a commit. The more commits you have, the easier it is to go back if you need to and save it. So a commit is really just saving a series of changes. So I'm going to click commit all, and now the changes I made since last time are saved as a commit, but they're not on the server at this point. At this point, those changes are just saved in the change history located in this Git folder right here. So those are actually saved here, and for now. Next thing I want to do is I want to make those changes available on the server. So if I were to look at the server right now, even if I did a refresh here, I would see that my changes have not been replicated here on the server yet. To get them on the server, the next step I want to do is go to my solution and actually go to Team Explorer. And you'll see here it says, when I committed, it said do sync to share my changes. So to put my changes on the server, I click sync, and then I can click sync here again under synchronization. And this is where we were before, was under changes. You can also just click on the down arrow menu in Team Explorer, go to sync, and click on the synchronization. And what that will do is any changes that happened on the server will be brought down. Any changes that you've made will be pushed up to the server. So right now, the only changes that have occurred are on our own computer. So now it's pushed all those, and it says it's successfully synchronized the information. So if that's the case, if I were to refresh this, I would see, yes, in point of fact, now the changes have been put on the server. So this is the normal cycle you will work in. Put some code in here, make some changes, push it to the server. If I were to go to my solution and add, for example, add a header file. So I have a header file now. I could then do a commit. Then go to my Team Explorer, and here it's going to say sync. I can then do a sync. And it's pushed in the branch. And then if I go and check, I'll go up one. I can see functions.h was added, and my code was placed here. So this would be the normal cycle. Now let's say that you turned in your assignment, and when you turn in your assignment, one of the things you're going to want to do is go to settings, and if it's a private repo, the only way someone can share that, for example, your instructor, is to go to settings, options, and manage access. Invite a collaborator and put it in the name of a collaborator. So you'll put in the email address and then invite the collaborator. They will get an email that says that this is available. They will then be able to go and access your project. So let's say that your program's been turned in, and I'm just going to do an edit. Normally, the edit would be done in another person's Visual Studio, but just to kind of demonstrate. Let's say that your instructor graded your project and put some comments in. And so now you have some comments in. How do you get your comments? Well, go to your solution, or go to your Team Explorer, and just click on Sync. And you'll see that the comments then show up. And by the way, if they use to-do comments, you can double-click on the comments, and it will in the task list, and you'll be able to go straight to them. So that will be how you could get your feedback back on your program. So this completes my demonstration of how to create a GitHub repo from Visual Studio, how to make your project into a repo, and then how to synchronize it with your GitHub account. And then also, don't forget to make your project available to your instructor by managing access, and invite your instructor as a collaborator on your project so they can see it, since you're going to make these private repositories. Thank you very much.